Hello everyone, let me introduce myself again. My name is POTMITA LANGTHASA. I was born and raised in a small town called Umrongso in the HASAO district. I am very thankful to all the judges for bestowing upon me the honor to be among the top 10 contestants, and also I would like to extend my gratefulness to all the audiences for their valuable support. With this, I would like to take this opportunity to speak on three areas. First, the origin of the 6th schedule. Second, the intention of the framework of the 6th schedule. And third, the amendment or the changes made particularly in the district of Karbi Anglong and DIMA HASAO since 1951. The issue of tribal development is not something which is newly set up or adopted during the formation of the Constituent Assembly. It has already found its existence in the Developmental Act of the British India. Hence, we should try to understand and appreciate its course of origin. It started in the year 1765 when the Diwani of Bengal was granted to Robert Clive, who was the first governor of the Bengal Presidency. This Diwani rights gave the power to the East India Company to collect the revenues and to decide on the civil cases. Now what happened is, due to grant of this right, all the states bordering the northeastern region came under the direct control of the British authority, including Assam, as it was the part of the Bengal Presidency till it got separated in the year 1874. Now the British described or declared the northeastern tribal area as a backward tract, and what laid the foundation for the pattern of administration of this tribal northeast area was the Regulation Act of 1822, which gave the Governor General the power to make laws and to legislate on the backward tract separately. This was the condition until Assam was the part of the Bengal Presidency. But things changed when it got separated from Bengal in the year 1874 as the northeastern frontier non-regulated province and was put under the administration of the Chief Commissioner. The very same year, the Scheduled District of 1874 was enacted, and this entire Chief Commissioner of Assam was declared as a Scheduled District. And the Scheduled District include the remote backward tract on which the regulations of the British has never been applied. And this Chief Commissioner of Assam was given the power to remove any area of the regulation of the British through the Assam Frontier Tract Regulation 1880. Later, the Montagu-Clamford Report of 1918 found that there were certain backward areas to which political reforms are not possible or are not applied. Hence, it should be administered by the governor. So, on the basis of the extent of backwardness of this tribal area, a varying degree of exclusion was recommended. Then the government of the Act 1919 was passed, which inserted the Section 52A, and this Section 52A gives the Governor General the power to declare any territory in the British India as a backward tract, and also direct any act of Indian legislation shall not apply to this territory, and if applied with certain modification. Later, the Government Act of 1935 declared this backward tract as the excluded or partially excluded areas, and the government declared 8 territories as a backward state in the province of Assam and put them under the 6th schedule as originally enacted as Part A and Part B states. This Part A states includes the United Khasi and Ajanta Hills, excluding the Shillong municipality, and then the Garo Hills, the Lushai, the Naga, the Mikir, and the Notkachar Hills. The United Khasi and Ajanta Hills, along with the Garo Hills, is the present-day Meghalaya state, and the Lushai Hills is the present-day Mizoram state, and the Mikir and the Notkachar is the present-day Karbi Anglong and the HASAO district of Assam. Now the Part B states include the Northeast Frontier Tract, including Balipara, Mishmi, Abor, and Tirap district, which is the present-day Arunachal Pradesh. And then we have the Naga tribal areas, which along with the Part A of the Naga Hill district is the present-day Nagaland state. Later, the Part B state was completely omitted from the 6th schedule provision, and the remaining district came to be reduced from time to time with the creation of the new state. But what about Manipur and Tripura? Tripura was later added under the provision of the 6th schedule through the Constitutional Amendment Act of 1984. And then Manipur is the only state where the provision of 6th schedule has never been applied. So this was the evolution of 6th schedule as originally enacted, and later during the formation of the Constituent Assembly, the Borderline Subcommittee submitted a report on the Northeast Tribal Administration to the drafting committee, and then the Constituent Assembly passed this draft in the year 1949, after a long constitutional debate and various amendments, thus providing the people with a sixth schedule under Article 244.2 and Article 275.1 of the Indian Constitution in the four northeastern states, that is Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura. Now let us understand what was the intention of the framers of the sixth schedule. The intention of the constitutional framers was guided by the prevailing uniqueness of these tribal areas. And when the four-member borderline committee visited these tribal areas, they noticed that these tribal people had already or had a very close relationship with the land and agriculture. And they also noticed the fear of exploitation from the outsiders or from the advanced group. They also observed that the tribal people of this area has already developed a sense of separation and isolation and had their roots in their own civilization and own culture. So even as there were certain institutions which were found among this tribal area which was so good and functioning so effectively, and the manner in which they settled their disputes, such kind of organized village administrative system was found among the tribal people, and hence the constitutional framers felt that instead of destroying such unique culture and traditions, the system should be protected by adopting a method in which a willing cooperation of these people will be obtained for the purpose of governing these areas. Therefore, the main intention of the constitutional framers was to provide a proper constitutional setup in the form of self-government for the tribal people of the Northeast, and keeping in mind the aspiration of these people in one hand and the assimilation of these people with the mainland country on the other hand. Now, talking about the amendments or the changes brought to the district of Karbi Anglong and DIMA HASAO, first we should note that the provision of sixth schedule can be amended in three ways. Firstly, through the Constitutional Amendment Act under the Article 368, and secondly, through ordinary parliamentary legislation contained in paragraph 21 of the sixth schedule, and then through governor's notification contained in para 1 sub-para 3 of the sixth schedule. The tribal people of the Karbi Anglong and DIMA HASAO district were dissatisfied with the quantum of autonomy provided to them under the sixth schedule, and thus demanded for the autonomous state within the state of Assam and under Article 244A, which was inserted through the 22nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1969. Therefore, sixth schedule to the Constitutional Amendment Act 1995 was passed, which added three provisions to the district of Karbi Anglong and DIMA HASAO. First, the district council was provided. Secondly, additional power was given to both the councils to make laws on the 15 additional subjects under newly inserted para 3A. Then, the governor was authorized to act in his discretion after consulting the Council of Ministers or the district council under para 20BA. Now, in the field of judicial administration, the establishment of the village court or the subordinate or the district court was made applicable to the tribal people by the establishment of Mikir Hill District and the North Qatar Hill District Administration of Justice Rules 1955. Also, the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 and the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 was added to the district of the Karbi Anglong and DIMA HASAO by the Assam Administration Justice of Act 2009. Later in the year 2012, the government of Assam also provided various code in these two districts, which was put under the supervision of the High Court. The recent amendment which was made is the 125th Constitutional Amendment Bill of 2019 to provide financial and the executive authority to the 10 autonomous district council under the 6th schedule area. This amendment provides for the elected village council and municipal council, thus ensuring the democracy at the grassroots level. Also, it provides the village council the power to prepare a plan for the economic development and social justice in the various subjects such as agriculture, in minor irrigation, electrification, etc. And thirdly, it also provides power to the devolution of finances to the village council or municipal or district council by the finance commission through the state legislature. Lastly, I would like to mention that with all these given provisions that we have under the 6th schedule and also with the various amendments, the autonomous district council's problems still remains the same, because most of the developmental project that autonomous district council do depend on the central or the state government funds. which implies that in one way or the other, these autonomous district councils are under the control of state government in terms of fund, which delay the developmental work and the scheme appropriated to these tribal areas, and thus hampering the smooth functioning of the autonomous council in one hand and the economic growth on the other in the long term. Therefore, what we need is the better cooperation between the state government and the autonomous district council, considering the need and the demand of this region and enabling the council to utilize the provision that was provided in the 6th schedule for the development of the tribal region. With this, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.